I'll give you a hint, it's not my phone. But these two devices did completely save a backpacking trip this year, as well as help me lose a bunch of weight. Those two items are my Garmin inReach Mini and my Garmin watch. Both of these things help me a ton on the trail. They keep me safe, but there's a lot more to them than that, and I'm gonna cover that in this video. So before we dive into the meat and potatoes, I did wanna say, my name is Tayson. I'm the founder here at Outdoor Vitals, and this channel is all about getting you outside more comfortably and more confidently. If you're interested in that, make sure you subscribe and hit that bell notification so you can know when we post more videos just like this one. This is the Garmin inReach Mini, and it is the first piece that's coming with me on every trip. Over the years, I found out that it's critical to have good communication on the mountain, whether that's for safety or just for the opportunity to go more frequently. That's exactly what this provides, is messaging. I'm able to message anyone out, text them essentially through this device, or set predetermined preset messages and send an unlimited amount of those so I can check in all day long on the trail. Overall though, that keeps me safer on the trail and also allows me to just go on more trips. The Garmin devices also have the ability to pull weather reports, which is critical, and I'm gonna share a story about that in just 1 second, as well as do live tracking. Now the live tracking just pings up and tells whoever you've determined where you're at on the trail at all times. So if you stop moving or something like that, they may know there's an issue and be able to send help. So I've used this device for many years, but earlier this year, we were actually on a trail in the middle of the Uinta Wilderness called the Highline Trail. First, we had someone started to get sick on the trail, and eventually it led to the point where our entire crew would either have to get off the trail or we'd have to have someone pick him up. And when you're in the middle of a wilderness, you don't get service. We're able to use this device to communicate off of the trail and get someone to come and pick him up and make sure everything was safe and sound in that way. As soon as we dropped him off though, things got pretty exciting and weather started to roll in. And we were able to use this device to constantly stay connected with the weather and what to expect, which was also absolutely critical on that trail. For some of those reasons, messaging, SOS, all those features, they add up to this being an absolute staple in my pack. At 3.5 ounces, it is coming with me on every trip. Next up, let's talk about my Garmin Instinct Solar watch. This piece has become incredibly important to me and the way that I look at my health, my training, and my backpacking. This, first off, does not tell time. No, I'm just kidding. It does tell time, but it does also add a GPS function to your watch. It has a heart rate monitor, has a blood oxygen level monitor, it has an extremely long battery life because it does have a solar piece or aspect to it as well. I can also pair it to my Garmin inReach device to send messages, send SOS, or other features like that. And then perhaps best of all, the software that comes on the back end of it that I can use on my phone is incredibly useful from things like body battery or also counting calories straight from my watch. You might be asking yourself at this point if you really need an expensive watch to backpack, but I'm gonna cover how you can actually save some money on this device here in just a second. Before that, I wanna cover the finishing touches. I actually wanted to make this video all year long. The thing was, the longer I waited, the more I learned and used the data in it. So I'm kind of glad that I didn't. I mentioned earlier that this has some software that goes along with the app, and it has something called a body battery. The body battery really tells you, based off of heart rate variability and some other factors, how your body is feeling. If it's low, it means you're susceptible to even getting sick, or you're just absolutely drained and you need to get some rest and recuperate. If it's high, you're doing well. So by watching things like that, you can really tell a lot about yourself. But really for me, what boiled down to is I learned a lot about myself through the heart rate aspects and gamifying. I started trail running this year and it became critical to me to gamify it. See, I kind of got bored just running a trail. But when I started to gamify it, using the watch, tracking it, trying to beat my times, and see the improvement, that incremental improvement that I was making week after week, month after month, it became so much more fun to get out and do the real training that helps with backpacking. Now, on the heart rate side, the longer the year went on, the more I learned how to read my heart rates and know when my body was going into distress. I actually was able to go back months previously and see things like when I got elevation sickness, if it was in fact elevation sickness, and I couldn't have determined that without this watch. There's a bunch of amazing health aspects that you get with this piece, from the training to just pure health to calorie counting, which I also did throughout this year, seeing how my workout increased the level of calories and how I could maybe eat a little bit more on the days that I worked out, but I couldn't on the other days. And all that attributed to me figuring out and getting my health back in order and dropping 30 pounds just this year, which was pretty life-changing for me and how I have felt. Both of these items are a little bit more on the expensive side. You might be asking yourself if you have to have them for backpacking. While you might not have to have them for backpacking, I do find them critical and they're always with me. So I want to talk about how you could save some money on that. If you are a member of our Live Ultralight membership, you're gonna get year-round discounts on this as well as rebates, which should save you a bunch on a purchase of this size. So go join our membership and check out these devices on our website. These two devices are fascinating, and this only scratches the surface. If you wanna know more about this, we just did an hour-long podcast over on the Live Ultralight podcast. Check the description down below where you can get subscribed to that podcast and listen to it. With that, now you guys know my two essential electronics that I bring with me on the trail every time I go out backpacking. Thanks for joining me, and we'll see you on the next one.